While many people know Annabelle from the popular horror films, the true story behind this infamous doll is perhaps even more chilling. The real Annabelle isn't the porcelain-faced nightmare from the movies, but rather an ordinary Raggedy Ann doll with a dark history. The story begins in 1970, when a mother purchased a vintage Raggedy Ann doll for her daughter Donna. Things were fine at first, but a few days later they started to find the doll in different locations from where they had left it, in small pieces of parchment paper with written messages like, "Help." The most disturbing incidents occurred when they found the doll with what appeared to be drops of blood. The situation escalated when their friend Lou, who had warned them about the doll's malevolent nature, claimed to have experienced violent scratches in his sleep. Eventually, they contacted a medium. The medium claimed the doll was possessed by the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, who had died on the property years before. However, the Warrens later determined the doll was actually manipulated by an inhuman, demonic entity seeking to possess a human host. The Warrens took possession of the doll and placed it in their occult museum in Monroe, Connecticut, inside a specially blessed glass case. They claim the doll has been responsible for one death and several near-death experiences even after being confined.
In recent years, the adorable yet slightly unsettling Labubu dolls have taken the collecting world by storm. However, beneath their cute exterior lies a disturbing connection to ancient demonic lore. One particular account comes from a collector in Singapore, Sarah Chen. She said her Labubu doll would inexplicably change positions overnight. She decided to set up a camera, and the footage showed the doll slightly turning its head, moving its arms and making faint yet disturbing giggling sounds. According to urban legends, the original Labubu design was inspired by recurring nightmares experienced by its creator. These dreams supposedly featured a childlike demon with large eyes and an unnaturally wide smile, characteristics that would later become Labubu's trademark features. What's particularly unsettling is the doll's supposed connection to Pazuzu, the ancient Mesopotamian demon king of the wind. Like Labubu, Pazuzu was often depicted with exaggerated features and was known for both protection and malevolence. Many have reported strange occurrences after bringing Labubu dolls into their homes, drawing parallels to Pazuzu's dual nature. Some have even shared terrifying stories of their Labubu dolls on social media. And while these claims remain unverified, they've contributed to the growing mystique surrounding Labubu. Despite these dark associations, Labubu dolls have become increasingly popular. Their design walks a fine line between cute and creepy, perhaps unconsciously tapping into our fascination with the macabre. For those brave enough to maintain their Labubu collections, the advice is simple: keep a watchful eye on your dolls, and maybe think twice before displaying them in your bedroom. After all, you never know when those large, innocent eyes might be watching you back. Remember, sometimes the cutest things can harbor the darkest secrets.
In the heart of Key West resides a legend, but the true story of Robert the Doll is not one of a simple supernatural haunting. It is a chilling exploration of human psychology, obsession, and the power of a crowdsourced legend. The most famous origin story speaks of a voodoo curse inflicted by a mistreated Bahamian servant of the Otto family. This is pure folklore. There is zero primary evidence to support this sensational claim, which was a later embellishment born in the 1970s. Regrettably, it also perpetuates harmful, outdated tropes about Afro-Caribbean spiritual practices. Another myth, that Robert was a prototype from the prestigious German Steiff Company, has also been definitively debunked. The truth of his physical form is more mundane, yet fascinating. Experts believe Robert began his existence around 1904, not as a toy, but as a commercial window display mannequin. His unusual 40-inch stature was designed to model children's clothing. His body, stuffed firmly with woodwool known as Excelsior, and his unique, molded composition face were made to be seen, not cuddled. It is highly probable he once wore a jester's costume, his face painted with defined, perhaps even cheerful, clown-like features. Robert's unsettling story truly begins with his owner, Robert Eugene Jean Otto. The sailor suit Robert wears is the most crucial clue. It was Jean's own childhood outfit. By dressing the doll in his clothes, Jean transformed Robert into his doppelganger, his inanimate alter ego. This was an act of profound psychological transference. When Jean misbehaved, he could displace the blame onto his silent twin, an intense and bizarre relationship he maintained for his entire life. This lifelong obsession became a source of domestic horror for Jean's wife, Anne. She reported paranormal activity, hearing footsteps, seeing the doll's expression change to malice, and finding it moved from a locked room. But for Anne, the true horror was being psychologically trapped with a husband whose primary emotional bond was with an inanimate object. He treated Robert as a living being, even speaking for it in a high-pitched, childish voice. In 1994, Robert's story entered a new chapter at the Fort East Martello Museum, transforming him into a global paranormal icon. The now famous rules for visiting, such as asking permission for photos, were created by the museum. The thousands of apology letters that now wallpaper his exhibit are a powerful, large-scale example of confirmation bias, where visitors attribute any later misfortune to disrespecting the doll. The legend has even evolved for the digital age, with people sending emails to apologize for disrespectful memes. Robert the doll has become a mirror for our own fears. His curse is a self-perpetuating, crowdsourced phenomenon, and the psychological truth behind his story is arguably far more unsettling than any fiction.
Do not touch Annabelle. A modest 1,970 seconds apartment grows uneasy as a gifted doll appears to change places. Each day, the doll is found in a new spot, doors left ajar as if after someone passed. Childlike parchment notes appear, pleading in crude pencil with unsettling insistence. Scratching stirs inside the walls, furniture shifts as if boundaries are being tested. A visitor departs with shallow claw-like marks, pity turns to fear of something predatory. The investigation turns solemn. Blessed water, prayers, and cautious observation begin. The conclusion is stark, not a child's spirit, but a deceiver seeking permission. Strict rites remove the object. The doll is sealed within a blessed glass case. At the museum, visitors pass in uneasy silence. Signage warns, never touch. Containment is preventative, a barrier between the unembodied and the merely curious. A biker strides up, wraps the glass, and jeers, daring the doll to scratch him. Staff intervene, warn him sternly, and escort him out with a final caution. On the road, a bright afternoon turns treacherous. Control vanishes in an instant. Metal and gravel decide the outcome. Sirens arrive too late for the dare. Back at the case, a greasy print lingers, a human boast against silent glass.